Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go. First story. He punched me over a fender bender and I destroyed his life. I was working as a civilian with the US military overseas and I lived off base in an apartment complex popular among the US military. One morning, I accidentally hit another soldier's vehicle. Upon exiting the vehicle, I noticed that both our vehicles were what you could call a hoop tie. A hoop tie is an old car that is pretty beat up that has been passed around from service to service member, and they generally sell for $1,000 to $2,000. I also recognized that I was at fault for the accident. It was a very minor accident. His rear bumper was dented slightly, but I could hear both our cars still running. I approached the driver who had already gotten out and he was in uniform. And I apologized and said if it was alright with him, I would like to negotiate a payment that I will pay him in cash. We don't involve the authorities. I wanted to keep this simple. I'll be honest, the accident was so minor I honestly expected him to say, "Nah man, it's okay." But even if he wanted some money, I'd have paid him. I have always been of the opinion if you have a fender bender and can negotiate agreeable terms between both the parties, it's best to not involve the insurance or the police. He told me he wanted to call the police. I said we could call the police or we could go on base together and I could give him $300. He said that wasn't enough, so I upped my offer to $500. Then he proceeded to punch me in the face. It was a sucker punch. He got into his car and took off and, in the process, nearly ran me over. Now I had a black box in my car which recorded everything. I went to the Provost Marshal office on base, the police station, and reported the accident and the assault and showed the MP the footage. They used his license plate to track him down. I was also asked if I wanted to involve the local authorities and press criminal charges off base. Honestly, I felt like the soldier would learn his lesson if I let the UMCJ, the military court basically, handle this. And I said not at this time. I was told it was an option. The end result was the soldier in question got 60 days of extra duty, reduction in rank, and forfeited a portion of his paycheck. Essentially, if he dealt with that, this would have been the end of the whole ordeal. Honestly, at this point I assumed our little ordeal was over. Well, a few days after his punishment was decided on, which was not long after the incident itself, I was in the commissary, the grocery store on base, shopping, when the soldier who assaulted saw me and began to insult me. I told him he needed to calm down, that he should learn his lesson, and he told me I was a soft one who didn't know how to take a punch. I reminded him that I held back on destroying his life. He told me he's already been punished and I can't touch him again. Then he left me be. A store employee witnessed the entire encounter and I got the employee's details and reported this interaction to his command. His commander told me he had been ordered to not interact with me and would take an action. His commander also recommended I involve the local authorities since this soldier obviously isn't learning his lesson. So I did. I contacted an attorney. The attorney was unsure if we could successfully sue the soldier and said he would need a cash payment to take the case. Honestly, I was mad, and I wanted to teach this guy a lesson. So I agreed. It was not cheap, but I agreed. To keep the story short, we ended up in court off base. We presented our evidence, and the soldier in question had decided to represent himself. Several times in the court, he had outbursts. The judge ended up granting me a judgment of approximately $50,000. When the judgment was given, the soldier called the judge a son of a witch, and that the army would cover for him. So the judge changed his judgment to $80,000. And the judge then asked me if I also wanted to press charges against this soldier in criminal court. Honestly, it was obvious this guy wasn't going to learn a lesson. I told the judge I wanted to pursue criminal charges in addition to the judgment. My lawyer later advised me that if I ever wanted to see the money, I should pursue an international hold. With my judgment, it's likely that a judge will grant me an international hold. An international hold is basically where this soldier would not be allowed to leave the country until I was paid my $80,000. Also, he told me that according to the agreement between the US military and the host country, the US military would honor the international hold. Basically, the US military would not protect him or move him out of the country to avoid punishment. Honestly, by this point, I had paid my lawyer thousands of dollars, and I honestly didn't feel like paying thousands of dollars and getting nothing for it. So I said yes, I want to go forward with the international hold. About a month later, the international hold was granted, and the US military was informed of this. 2 months after that, the criminal case was over and the soldier was sentenced to 90 days in jail. By this point, the soldier had been moved onto the base into his barracks by his commander. I remember the day I was informed that MPs handed him over the local authorities to begin his 90-day jail sentence. Ah yeah, and did I mention he still owed me $80,000? I heard nothing for a year and then one day I got a call from his commander. His commander wanted me to make a statement in regards to the case. I go in and make the statement. During the statement, I found out the US military was in the process of chaptering a soldier out of the US military. The commander also informed me that he was close to coming up with the money to pay me, so he could have the international hold lifted. The commander also asked me if my lawyer would be willing to make a statement. I contacted my lawyer, who also made a statement about the facts of the case. A few weeks later, his ex-wife contacted me. When this all started, I knew he was married. Guess his wife decided to divorce him. She informed me that her ex-husband had the money and needed the details on how to pay me. I provided her the details, and a few days later, I got the payment and contacted his ex-wife to inform her that I had been paid. She then asked me to send a receipt so he could have the international hold lifted and returned to the States. I asked her how he got the money, and she said he maxed out his credit and also had family help out. Also, during this conversation, I had found out the army had chaptered him out of the military. I sent her the receipt, and that was the last I ever heard from his side. I took his $80,000 and bought myself a brand new car and used the rest of the money to put down on an investment property. What a complete idiot. Next story. A guy screams at a young woman working at Home Depot. I got revenge for her. This happened about a week ago. This guy in his maybe late 60s is acting like a jerk to the young lady working the self-checkout machines and how they are not working and how he hates everything about them and wishes they were removed in favor of cashiers again. Just like the old days. This guy did not need to go to the 4 self-checkout machine areas staffed by this woman. There were literally 2 other employees attending to 2 other checkouts 10 and 20 feet away. And if he felt like walking for 10 seconds, there was a 3rd lane open with nobody there on the other side of the seasonal stuff at the front. So he's basically screaming at this woman for no reason. It is not her fault. She did not design this store. She did not make the self-checkout machines, and she also did not screw up his coffee that morning. But nevertheless, he's getting belligerent and unloading on her. I was at the register not next to him but opposite him in the 4-machine corral. I turned and discreetly said to her, "You're right, need me to step in?" She quietly gave me a very relaxed and very in control "No, thank you though," with a friendly head nod. Despite his behavior, she was in total control of the situation And the sad thing is, he probably wasn't the first or last true customer she's dealt with. He finishes paying about 30 seconds ahead of me, and on the way out of the door I hear him say, albeit much quieter, but still plenty loud for her and others to hear, "Thanks for your help, witch." As I'm walking out the door seriously deciding if I'm about to fight and probably get whipped in the process, I see him about 50 feet ahead in the parking lot and see while juggling his wood pieces and bags. He drops his car key ring with about 30 other keys on it, 3 feet from a parking lot storm drain. I'm so excited I'm almost shaking. It's like the heavens opened up and told that woman, "I'm going to fix this for you." So I did what any helpful 30-year-old would do, and I gently half-kicked them off the side of my boot towards the drain. They hit one of the openings, and I heard the most satisfying splash of my life. Best part was the water was pitch black, and down a few feet so you're not seeing anything when you look straight down. Checkmate, Home Depot lady. Next story. Karen screams at me for banning her thieving son. This happened a couple of days ago, so I will do my best to have the conversation exactly as it went, but some may be paraphrased. For context, I work nights in a gas station. About a week ago, a couple of kids, probably no more than 15 or 16 years old, who are semi-regulars, as in I've seen them a few times before, but not often enough to know them. They came in around 2 a.m. and pulled a runner on me with around $30 in drinks and snacks. As I'm not allowed to chase shoplifters, I do what's required and leave a note for my boss so she can pull the tapes and post the pictures for us so we can tell them to get out if they are ever stupid enough to come back. You wouldn't believe how many thieves actually are in fact stupid enough to come back. These two morons in particular. Well, 2 days ago I'm working my only weekly day shift. And who should walk in but my pair of thieves? And who do they have with them? One of their mothers. I immediately buckle down and tell them they need to go now. And the following is how the conversation went. I tell them, you two need to go right now. One of them tells me, "For what?" And the other says, "We didn't even do anything." You know exactly what you did, and you're banned from this store. You can leave on your own feet or leave with a police escort. You choose. They leave and go back to the car waiting for them at the pump. From the window I can see them talking to the woman in the driver's seat, gesturing and pointing. She gets out of her car and storms into the store. "Why the hell did you tell my son and his friend they can't be here?" "Ma'am, they ran out with nearly $30 in products. We do not allow thievery and they are banned from this store. You are welcome to come and get what they need. But if they are seen on the property, the police are going to be called." "No, my son is not a thief. How dare you? Get me a manager." Gladly. She doesn't know my manager has less patience for customer crap than I do. And since the store isn't very big, she's already heard this exchange from the office. I bring her out and she says exactly what I did. "That's a bold-faced lie. My son is a good boy. You're targeting him and his friends for no reason." The manager tells her, "You're welcome to come back and watch the tape for yourself." Karen says she will do just that. "And once I have proof you're lying, I'll be expecting this little slurs for homosexuals to be fired." My awesome manager brings Karen into the office and I accompany them. Being the assistant, it's both part of my job and a joyful experience to watch Karen's face fall when she finds out her good boy is a rotten thief. The manager plays the tape and Karen's son and his friend, clearly identifiable as their only means of a disguise, wear their school track hoodies pulled up over their hair. They were wearing the hoodies as they sat in the car waiting. The Karen was too stunned to speak at first, but eventually remembered how to Karen and she stormed out, shrieking that she'd be calling corporate. For what? Who knows? But she's calling anyway. The manager put out an announcement to notify him if she ever steps foot in the store again. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.